It's good to have you here today, Bernard. That's obviously one of your biggest assets with the personalization and A/B testing features.
Hi, Marcus. My name is Bernard Jan. I work as a CXO at Prepr. The thing that differentiates us from all kinds of other headless CMSs out there is that we offer personalization and A/B testing in the tool. So it's very easy
That's
to
interesting.
personalize and A/B test and set up all kinds of experiments. I started working in the internet industry around 2000, and already then people were talking about this personalized web where everything that you saw online was personalized, and this big promise kept being above the market forever. And I think in e-commerce somehow and in big tech, personalization really took off and played a big part. But for the rest, the web stayed pretty generic. And the main reasons for that are, I think, that the tools that were available to personalize were just too complicated or too expensive.
Yes.
So you had these DXPs or these big tech solutions for customer data platforms and stuff that you had to hook up with a CMS and a personalization engine. It was just too expensive and too complex. So most digital teams didn't get around to personalization at all. And that's really what triggered us, that we thought, well, why is that? Why can't we make that a lot simpler? Bring that into one tool, into the CMS. That's where you have your content already. And what's more logical than say, okay, when I have this content, I want to target this at this audience, and I want to target that content at that audience.
Exactly.
And the big problem you have to solve then is that you have to process a lot of data, like visitor data, customer data from the people that are visiting your website. And most tools like 5 to 10 years ago weren't able to do that. But advancements in technology, database technology, and big data technology and AI obviously have opened the path for simpler solutions. Like Prepr is a very good headless CMS, but is also able to process all this data in a way that you can very fast deliver personalized experiences. And that's what happened. And so at the moment in 2025, there are some enterprise level systems that offer this, but at steep prices. So it becomes simpler, but it's still very expensive. And Prepr is trying to make this available for a lot broader set of companies, the mid-sized companies and mid-sized projects. So at a reasonable price, you can still enjoy the benefits of personalization and A/B testing. We've had clients trying to accomplish personalization with large systems, large setups, large development teams as well, and they just quit the project after 2 years, spent loads of money on it, and just didn't get it to work, and are now working with Prepr. And there are a lot of misconceptions around personalization that I think are also blocking the advancement of personalization. And some of these misunderstandings are like the complexity. And it starts with that not everybody understands what personalization really is for a website. Hear about personalization, I think most people immediately think about their YouTube homepage or their TikTok feed or their Spotify homepage or their Netflix homepage that's really targeted at them. And that's what we call hyper-personalization. And that's very effective. We all know how addictive this can be, but it's only suitable for really big tech companies that have lots of content and have lots of customers. And then you can do these hyper-personalized experiences. But for like almost any other website, you don't have the amount of data and content for that kind of experience. So you need a different kind of personalization. That's what we call segment-based personalization, where you're not targeting every individual one by one, but it's you create these groups, these segments within your audience, and you target content to them. So for example, when you have Disneyland Paris, like a theme park, obvious segments would be families with children, schools maybe, and groups visiting this platform, and I don't maybe businesses targeting business trips. So you have these 3 segments there. Okay, and then you can say, okay, what would be the best content for families with children? What would be the best content for these school groups? And what would be the best content for businesses visited or wanting to partner with Disney maybe? And that makes it very easy. And then you can think about all the things you can do on your website. But then I always say, keep it very simple and start with something small on your homepage, because that's where people start visiting your website. And if you can get this first impression right, like when you know somebody is visiting as a family, and maybe you know that because you have a marketing campaign targeted at families and people click that campaign and visit your website from that, then you can immediately start giving them the right content, the right experience, the right emotion through images, etc. And that doesn't have to be complicated, but it gives your visitor immediately the feeling that they are on the right website, that this is for them, that the website understands their problems or their challenge or what they are trying to accomplish. But this really is very helpful. But it can be pretty simple in essence. You just define these 3 top audiences. Think about what content do I want to show to them. For example, on the homepage, that should be different from the generic experience, and then deliver that with a simple solution like Prepr. And this can be hero images and headlines. It can be testimonials. It can be content recommendations, and obviously call to actions. These simple things that really drive your website, and that can be personalized easily. In fact, what we just launched, so I haven't talked about this in other interviews, I think, is we recently launched what we call the personalization planner. And what that tool does is it allows you to input the URL of your website or a website that you are interested in. And then it gives you IDs for segments and for personalized components for that website. So for example, the Disneyland Paris example I just gave you is one that we run through this tool. And then you see, okay, these are all kinds of inspirational IDs for personalizing your website. So check that out if you.
Yeah, that's true. This misconception of this perception that personalization is something a little bit mystic, exclusive to big tech companies maybe, but it doesn't have to be that way at all, as you say it. So it makes perfect sense with what you're doing with Prepr.
As a team, you need to be aligned on this from the start. And since it's not something everybody is used to doing, we don't do it. And in a sense, it's strange because when you ask a marketing team, so how do you set up your campaigns? Then the first thing they say is, okay, we'll define the different audiences that we want to communicate with, and we set up a different campaign for each audience. And then we send this traffic to a landing page that is targeted at this audience, and then we try to convert them. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Everybody does that. So, but why is your website then generic? Yeah. Okay, yeah, we want it to be aligned with our campaigns, but yeah, we can't do that. And that's strange because it doesn't have to be that complicated. And when you have these audience already in your marketing campaigns, you can use these audiences on your website as well and start designing 3 homepages instead of 1 homepage. Or it's still the same design, but with different content for these different audiences. But it's a mindset that needs to change. And I think the more people are aware of that there are simple solutions for that, it becomes easier to incorporate that from the start of a project and with clients. But it will take some time.